Hello everyone, my name is Vlad. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to take you on a fantastic journey into the deep reaches of the Lego forest. Yes, the Lego forest with its deep lush vegetation, gravel roads, treehouse, mountains, yes, and I mean mountains, trees, rivers, and all sorts of other surprises. Deep in the city I have my own forest, complete with everything I mentioned. And I'm going to take you on a journey of how I built this. First, I'm going to actually show you how I made the mills plates, each mills plate for the forest and also for the mountains, how I integrate it into the city. And then I'm going to show you kind of a cool way of how I'm going to make it all come together. And it's going to be something that's going to be really cool. And I really, really am proud of it. So stay tuned for this journey and let's get started right now. And here it is. The finished version of my mountain. I've redone it. I've used two-tone gray, bluish, dark bluish gray and light bluish gray tiles and finishing blocks, slopes, and I've pretty much covered every single stud with it. I put some trees on it, and it sits on a mills plate. As you can see here, it sits on three length base plates, 11 studs wide. So I also did the trees with a flagpole, and also with I inverted the plants, the 3-stem plants. Usually you put flowers on, so they look pretty good. They look like pine trees. I've seen that technique on the internet several times, and I've got quite a few of them. So this is basically what it looks like. Now from the back, let me turn it around, just so you can see it from the back, how it's made. So basically I used the burps, the big, ugly, large Lego mountains, cliffs, whichever one you call them. There's quite a few of them. And I also strengthened it with these beams. So this thing is tight as possible. Like that. And I think it worked out pretty good. So let's take a look at the second facade. Here's the second facade. It's basically has a tunnel in it with the road through it, and it has again pine trees, similar to the first facade. This one has a waterfall. It's going to continue into the forest campgrounds. I used white 1x1 and 1x2 transparent bricks and dark azure plates underneath, so it gives it that white bluish look. I think it turned out really well. And yeah, here's what it looks like when put together. I'll zoom away. It's works out really nice. It's 60 inches long. That's 6 base plates in length. So I think it worked out really nice, and it'll go all along the back perimeter along the wall of my Lego city. And when I get it in there, I'll show you what it looks like. So now that you've seen the mountains I put together, where do they go in the city? Well, this is this segment of the city I've been working on. And I've put in the mills plates road system. And I have where I have my tall tower. And then I have my apartment building. And then I have my luscious mountains in the background with the pine trees. This is where they go. Right, and in front is the toy shop and a playground. And then, as you can see, here's the road leading into the tunnel. And then it continues, and there's the waterfall, and there's the edge of it. Now, if you're wondering, why is there a big gap here and there's nothing there? Well, this is where my forest begins, and my campgrounds, and all sorts of cool stuff. So I'm going to show you how I did all those, mill plate at a time. And then I'm going to put it all together, and we're going to take a journey on my awesome new forest area in the city. So stay tuned for that. First up is the tree house. This is the kit that you can buy for the tree house. And what I did is I put it on a mill's plate, as you can see. I just dropped it directly onto a mill's plate with the whole base. And I put a little bit more vegetation on than the actual one. So as you can see here, there's more vegetation. And there's some trees back here that correspond to the cliff area on the back, because this goes to the cliff area. So that's pine trees. And what I have here is the river from the waterfall, as seen in the beginning, where I have the waterfall that connects to about right there. And then I have some flowers and more vegetation. And the waterfall comes off this plate. Obviously these plates have to be in a certain order, but as you can see, I can take them all apart very easily if I need to do some work on the city or table area. If you're wondering, I basically use leaves and the light green flowers for a lot of them. And the leaves, these leaves, I really like those three leaf stems, and various other plants, miscellaneous plants. And then here's the tree. So if I take this tree off, just to give you an idea of how I make my trees, I use the round 2x2 round pieces with the pattern, and then I use hinges to put on the leaf patterns on the leaves or the vegetation that you can get. And I have and I use the arches for branches. And as you can see here, there's the hinges, and then I just bend the branches down, and then I put a top on. So that's how I like to do my trees. That's pretty much majority of my trees in my city like that. That's what I'm going to be going to, because it looks really good. So that's basically what I did with the tree house. And I'll take a little bit of a wider shot away from it so you can see the whole thing. So there it is. There's the tree house. Next up is my my half plate. So a half mill's plate. So it's a 32x16 plate, and that one has 5 trees. So they're really crammed together, just like how trees grow. They grow into each other. And again, back here I have the pine trees where the cliff area is, and then here I have real dense vegetation. So all sorts of various colors and of leaves, single leaves, tri leaves, flowers, and all sorts of things. And what I've also incorporated is a pathway leads from the tree house. You'll see that when I put it together. I have some bushes here too. So here's the path. I use basically one flat plate, one round plates in reddish brown to make the path. I think it looks pretty good. And this is basically one of the most densest areas in my forest. As you can see, lots of growth. That's usually the way it is in forests. The growth basically goes everywhere they can. And that's basically this piece. And next up is this plate here. This plate here is basically more forest, more lush vegetation, and some bigger trees. This is a much taller tree here, but same design. This is a taller tree, and then a nice little short tree. And there's another path. And then as you see, just on the edge of the plate, there's a, what I consider a gravel road. This is how I make my gravel roads. I use light bluish gray and dark bluish gray, one by one round pieces, and I randomly put them in, and it makes it look like a gravel road. think I used in my whole gravel road over 1,000 pieces. And this is the edge. This will be where the edge is of the city, and you'll see how that incorporates all. So this is kind of plate with two large trees and a small tree and a nice path going in between. Kind of turn it around here so you can see it. This takes a lot of work to build, especially the vegetation, as you can see from here, and you can see the path there. And here comes the next plate. Basically, it's more of the gravel road, and it comes off on a 45. You're wondering how that fits in the city. Well, once you'll see it assembled, you'll get the idea of why I did that. And on this side, there's two more trees, more vegetation, another pathway. So kind of a network of paths. And I also have a table with a mother and her baby there. And you're wondering why she's sitting on the edge of the table. You'll find out when you see the next plate. It's kind of like a puzzle. And here's another shot of the clearing and the table, the picnic table. And there's the back of the plate. So there's a lot more path here. Again, more luscious vegetation and these trees. And here comes the next plate. You're wondering how many plates there are? Well, we're well over halfway there. So, and as you can see, this is based on a kit, and it's the A-frame cabin. Yeah, I wanted to really utilize the A-frame cabin, but I wanted to put it into the forest, kind of deep into the forest. So it doesn't look very forestry right now, but when you put it together, it will. Basically, it's the A-frame cabinet sitting on a mill's plate, and I use tiles underneath it with some jumpers, so I can actually take the whole cabin off. I'm not going to do that right now. But trust me, it can. I also have a little stream here, a little fence area right there. And then I put the trees, the two trees that come with it. I kind of really like the trees. And you'll see that I have more than just the two. And then I have some flowers, some nice flowers along the... And I put in some grass with some little bit of weeds and vegetation growth, random growth, kind of to represent that. In the back of the cabin, I added tiles where the shower is, and then so you can walk all around the cabin here. So that's the A-frame cabin that you can buy. And next plate is this one here. This one here is a continuation of the river. So you can see, so it kind of explains where it's coming from, but I'm not going to give it away right now. And it continues, and then it comes off right here. And the river is actually stepped down. So it's one step lower than where the other section is. And when you see it all together, you'll see how I stepped down my river. And you notice my custom trees. I have a couple more custom trees, and then it kind of transitions into the trees. What I did is I really like those trees with the A-frame cabin, so I built more of them. So these are, I bought all the additional parts and I built them all. So, and there's more vegetation. And here there's a little clearing with some flowers and a little pathway right there. You can see the little pathway right there. And the shed, so obviously this is right near the A-frame cabin. And you're wondering where that path goes. Well, if I turn it the other way here, there's a little bit of a kind of a bridge, a little deck. And the reason that deck is there is a couple of reasons. One reason become obvious when I put this, assemble it. The reason is I have here a secret little pond where you can go, and the deck has a little opening so you can jump into the little pond. It's kind of like a private little forest in the forest pond. You can go and enjoy cooling off in hot days. And then the path from here goes to the pond as well. So it's deep in the forest, a little pond. I always wanted one of those. So we're almost done. So on to the next two plates. They're kind of specialized plates. They're not your typical size. This is a plate that's, I believe it's two and a half plates long, 12 studs deep. And this is you'll kind of see where that integrates. It's kind of a little bit awkward shape, but it integrates into my forest. There's a little bit of tiles here because something fits there that if you're paying attention on the last one I showed, you'll probably figure out what goes here. And there's basically a little bit of grass area and more vegetation and a little bit of rocks peeking through with some pine trees. And then obviously there's, well, maybe not quite obvious, but there is a little bit of a beach and a little bit of water there kind of going into the growth. This plate is next. It's a small little plate, it's only a half plate. And you're wondering, oh, where does that fit? And it's got a canoe. I wonder where that goes. And it's some tiles. So it must be something going over that. And this is obviously start of a lake. I have little lilies on the lake. And then I also have the lake going into the deeper end, into the shallow end, and into a little sandy private beach. So that's that gets attached to something. So this is a fairly simple one, but it's part of the whole picture. And finally, the last plate is this plate right here. This one, I'll have to zoom a little bit away from it so you can see it all. It's basically a 32 by 32, but it has a small segment that's sticking out. So it's actually even bigger than 32. And this is the last one. I wanted to do it all in one plate this time because I didn't want to split this one up because there's too much going on in this one. So as you can see, there's more gravel road, and then it goes on to a bridge or kind of a path. Right now I have the orange, dark orange. I think I'm going to replace that with reddish brown tiles. I have those on order. And I also have a little campground, so where I have the camping vehicle parked. And there is a fellow here. I'll call him the father if you've watched the whole thing. And he's got a camera, he's taking a photo of something. So now it becomes maybe obvious where this plate fits into. And if I turn it back here, I have the continuation of the river, and it actually steps down here. There's another step down right there, and it runs paths, and then there's a path here, and there's something that's missing there. And I'll show you that. I actually forgot to put the bridge back in, so I'll pop that in, and when we assemble it, and I'll show you where the bridge goes. And then I have a little bit more vegetation, more trees. So again, these are using the trees that were with the A-frame cabin, just made more of them. Just varied the colors a little bit. Makes it look really colorful. Then over here, the river runs into the lake. So, and this is where the road is. It's kind of going above the lake there. So this is basically obviously near the end here. So what I'll do now is I'm going to show you how I assemble this. I'm going to assemble it kind of in an interesting way, so you'll see how it slowly kind of forms in the city, and we'll go from there. So here's the area where everything's going to be going to. So we'll start with the first plate, the dense forest area, half plate, followed by the tree house right next to it. And then on the other side is the A-frame cabin. And then is the continuation of the gravel road and the trees in front of the treehouse, followed by the forest and the little hidden pond and tree area. And then in front of that goes the continuation of the gravel road, and then the camping area and the pond finally. And to top that off, we have put some vehicles and some minifigures with some stories to tell. So now that it's all together, let's take a quick tour of the whole thing. So here's the lush forest with the multiple trees. That's just in front of the road, in front of the treehouse. So the treehouse is basically surrounded by trees. There you see the family in the treehouse. looking astonished because in front there's a rescue vehicle that came to take a minifig that was driving his mountain bike, and I guess he wasn't looking where he was going, and he hit a tree, and he's being taken on a stretcher to the hospital. And then over here you can see the campground with the camper, and the husband taking a photograph of his wife with the baby, who's sitting on the bench area. And then over here you have a gal on the bike who's delivering some fruit, and you're wondering where she's delivering it to. She's delivering it to over here, the platform, because that's where the wench is with the basket, the crate. So that's how they get their belongings up there. And on that near the little pond in the middle of the forest is a guy with his gal, and he's basically trying to coax her into going for a skinny dip. And as you can see right here, here's the waterfall in the back there, right there. That goes down the stream. It goes across the bridge here, and then it goes down to the camp area, and it streams over here across the bridge. Now I put in the bridge that connects the cabin to the gravel road, and it dumps into the lake, and there's a basically start of a lake with a canoe, and there's the private beach and the area behind it, behind the cabin. So the cabin's kind of hidden away in the forest. Looks really cool. I'll take kind of a overhead flight of it a little bit. I do plan to put in the facets here of the gorge right over here as well. You're wondering why that hump was there, why the road curves. It's to match the bottom half where the curve comes out. So that is my interpretation of a forest with campground just on the city limits, and the mountain with pine trees. And I think it turned out really well. I'm very proud of it. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me some comments. I'm really wondering what you all think of my forest interpretation of a forest. If you want to be informed of future videos, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscribe button, and we will see you next time. So have a great day.